Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an exciting day in the Bronx, and it's an exciting day for the MTA. This has been years in the making. We're launching the Bronx bus network redesign this coming Sunday. I'm Jano Lieber, MTA Chair and CEO, and I'm here with somewhere buses director Frank Anacaro. No? But Rich Davey, also on the way. These are gentlemen who are committed to the transit system and took the subway. I took Metro North, I have to admit it. But we're joined by our great partners, including DOT, New York City DOT Commissioner Adonis Rodriguez, always great to be with you. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, always a pleasure to come to the Bronx and be with you. Now, we have a new MTA board member. She's with us, Lisa Soren, who happens to be the president of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. Lisa, thank you for being here. Bronx Borough Commissioner, DOT Borough Commissioner Keith Kalb. Keith, are you among us? Thank you. And lots of the advocates who have pushed and kept on message about the importance of a better bus system and especially about redesigning our bus system. Improving bus service has been a huge priority for me since the time I took this job. I think it was in August of last year, literally a few days after I began in the chair, that I came up to this exact location, announced that we, with Commissioner Rodriguez's predecessor, that we were accelerating the installation of bus lanes in New York. I think this is incredibly important because buses are the unsung heroes of our transit system and engines of equity, as I always say, in our city because they disproportionately serve seniors, people with disabilities. The bus system is 100% accessible, even as we have a ways to go with our subway system, and residents of low-income communities, communities of color, and of course, all over the city, those neighborhoods that don't have close access to the subway. These riders need and deserve a strong system, a system that gets you from place to place faster than walking. A reasonable goal, I would say. It's got to be faster than walking. And it actually moves you to jobs and education and healthcare, everything New York has to offer, in a way that creates true equity. We believe that the Bronx bus network redesign is going to be a tremendous step forward. 2 brand new routes, changes to 13 routes, and 375 fewer bus stops, which will help us as part of a broader effort to speed service. Like I said, this is just a first step, just the beginning. There are more improvements to come on bus service as part of our strong and growing partnership with Mayor Adams and his team, including Commissioner Rodriguez. After the Transportation Improvement Summit that the mayor and I convened last week at City Hall, City DOT announced it would deliver the first 20 miles of the mayor's promised 150 miles of bus lanes by the end of this year, including several corridors in the Bronx: Gun Hill Road, University Avenue, Fordham Road, 207th Street, and Westchester Avenue near the Pelham Bay Park station. Another component of last week's announcement was that New York City DOT will install another 50 cameras on new and existing bus lanes on top of their previous commitment to install 50 cameras. So we're moving forward with camera enforcement of the bus lanes. Look out, drivers who want to violate the bus lanes. For us, our part at the MTA, we're adding our automated bus lane enforcement, ABLE cameras. We're adding to the 900 additional buses to be equipped with ABLE by the end of this year. And this is, as I said, necessary to discourage drivers who are blocking the bus lane. Again, all with the goal of speeding bus service for Bronxites. I'm very proud of our collaboration with both the city and the whole team of elected officials so far, and we're determined to make sure it pays dividends for Bronx riders. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to create a 21st century bus network that will support the city's economic revival, a revival that we want to be distributed throughout the city's boroughs in all the neighborhoods, and we're not going to waste this opportunity. So with that, let me turn it over to my friend, my partner, New York City DOT Commissioner Adonis Rodriguez. And when I call Adonis to the podium, I've always got to say our standard line, which is Juntos podemos mejorar la sistema del tránsito.
Yeah. Thank you.
Adonis, please.
Thank you. Well, one thing, Mr. Chair, that everyone should know, because as New Yorkers, we all have a strong opinions, but we need to celebrate that together DOT and the MTA are running the largest transportation system in the whole country, and the safer one, and the one that connects with more communities. So I know that we always expect more, and we know that under the administration of Governor Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams, and with the chair and here DOT and the elected official and the stakeholder, we are committed to continue turning our transportation system, especially our buses, safer and more efficient. That's our goal. So I would like to thank the MTA Chairman, John Oliver, and President Richard Dave for all the work the MTA is doing to improve transit system. I never thought that transportation was so connected with social justice. After I became a member of this committee, of the Committee of Transportation in 2009. But there's a lot of work that has to be done in order to connect underserved community with our buses and our trains. DOT is working hard each and every day to meet our goal of reaching 150 additional miles of new and enhanced bus lanes and busway over the next 4 years. The collaboration between DOT and MTA on Bronx Bus Network redesign underscore the two agencies' commitment to collaboration on improving bus services in the whole 5 boroughs. None of the single 5 boroughs will be left behind. And thanks to the steadfast support of Mayor Eric Adams, we hosted at City Hall the first Transit Improvement Summit last week, where we announced major transit improvement alongside the MTA. Our agency has either completed or is in progress of completing a transformative bus priority project that supports Bronx bus riders. 149th Street, 181st Street, E.L. Grant Highway, and Story Avenue have been completed. We are currently doing public outreach for Gumney Road and Fordham Road, and construction is currently in progress at University Avenue with Pelham Bay Park starting this coming summer. Our agency looks forward to continuing to work with our MTA partners to build a safer and more efficient system. With new and enhanced bus lanes, expanded automatic enforcement, as well as new ways that our agency will work together to improve access for the growing numbers of cyclists. Our buses represent an integral part of our transportation system because they are predominantly used by working class New Yorkers who rely on them to get to and from work each and every single day. 36% of bus riders live in households making less than $50,000 a year compared to 28% of subway riders. In 2019, 44% of Black residents took transit to work, as did 39% of Asian and 36% of Latino residents, compared to 24% of white residents. We are building a transportation system for all New Yorkers. As we have said many times before, the majority of bus riders come from underserved communities. Our agency currently in progress of working on over 700 individual bus stop changes in preparation for new or changed bus routes. We have over 400 bus stop adjustments completed, 40 route flag removals in progress, 28 new stop poles in progress, and 250 bus stop pole removals will start after redesigning launch. We have supported the MTA on dozens of public outreach meetings in support of this redesign over the past 4 years. Our team has volunteered for customers' ambassadorships to assist in writing public on how to navigate the new bus network. This work would have been possible without the DOT staff who work around the clock to engage with the community. Thank you to all of you for the great work that you have done. TJ, Eli Ferrari, Keith Cobb, and Aaron Suyura, and Armando Pigman. You know, you all have been great partners, a great staff, and also Johnny Jenkins. Thank you for all your hard work that you have done. We look forward to continue to work with our community partners and MTA to ensure we have transportation system that work for all New Yorkers. I want to highlight that as we are here with Chairman Llano, Mayor Adams is also in the Bronx, launching his initiative of engaging the whole community on fighting crimes in the city of New York. Nosotros estamos aquí hoy junto con el Chairman del MTA Llano, con nuestros oficiales electos, en un momento muy importante donde estamos anunciando el programa de rediseñar lo que es las transportaciones de autobuses. La mayoría de las personas que usan los autobuses son las personas de color, son las personas que tienen un sueldo de menos de $50,000 al año. Hoy tenemos un compromiso que junto con la gobernadora Kathy Hochul, con el alcalde Eric Adams, con Llano como chairman de la MTA, nosotros en DOT vamos a seguir rediseñando el sistema de autobuses para conectar a la clase trabajadora con el único medio que ellos tienen para ir a trabajar cada día. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fordham Plaza. I am excited to be here with all of you as the new Bronx Borough President, Vanessa L. Gibson. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is truly a great day to be here as we officially celebrate the launch of the Bronx Bus Network Redesign Plan. I am excited because we are a borough that needs improved bus service, and I'm grateful for our partners at the MTA, New York City Transit, DOT, for recognizing the importance of not forgetting the Bronx. We are only the second borough out of the 5 boroughs that has now launched a new bus redesign, second to the borough of Staten Island, and that is okay. I am so grateful that we in the Bronx now have a leg up on Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Yes. Always competing. So after months of public discussions, you all helped make today a reality. Public discussions with all of our stakeholders, our riders, elected officials, community residents, we now truly have a plan that is reflective of the wants and the needs of all of our communities here in the Bronx. For many of our commuters and our residents that ride the bus every single day, a common complaint that we would hear, the buses are too darn slow. The buses are slow, Ms. Gibson. What are we doing about speeding up the buses? The frequency and the reliability of our buses in the Bronx was a common complaint and truly a concern for many of our riders that rely on public transportation to move around the Bronx every single day. We listen to stakeholders, to advocates, elected officials, and everyday Bronx bus riders at 9 open houses, 28 community board meetings, and 6 public workshops. New York City Transit has now built a 21st century network that is responsive to the transit needs of communities throughout the Bronx. As an example, in communities in the East Bronx, such as Co-op City and parts of the West Bronx that I used to represent in the City Council in High Bridge and Morris Heights. Without direct subway access, the bus network redesign will truly provide a more reliable service to connect bus riders to and from many different locations, work, medical appointments, visiting family members and friends. It will spur economic growth in our borough at a time when it is truly needed. The BX18, the BX40, and the 42, and the BX30 will now provide new and enhanced bus service to local subway stations that are accessible in accordance with ADA, and that are improved services on 6 crucial crosstown and inner borough bus corridors, heavy trafficked areas, providing streamlined and standardized services and increased connections to our neighbors in the borough of Manhattan. I also want to acknowledge the technological advances. These buses are obviously Wi-Fi with charging stations, 21st century electric buses, modernizing our bus system. This is truly the beginning of a new chapter, of a new era for our buses in the city of New York. And the fact that it started in Staten Island and is now in the Boogie Down Bronx demonstrates the true commitment that the MTA, New York City Transit, and New York City Department of Transportation has to achieving transit equity and transit justice, and ensuring that every resident, regardless of their zip code, has access to high quality, reliable, and convenient public transportation. Today's announcement is truly about transit equity and the launch of the Bronx Bus Network Redesign Plan. We are now one step closer to achieving that in our great borough. I am grateful because I remember when the initial plan came out in 2019, and it was a plan that needed a lot of work, a lot of labor of love, and unfortunately COVID-19 hit in 2020, and we had to wait until 2021 to resume those conversations. But I acknowledge the incredible work of the MTA and New York City Transit in coming to our borough and talking to residents. People stepped up in a real way, and we're grateful for that. We often did not see east-west bus connections, but north and south. And by expansions of the BX18, the BX30, the BX40 and 42, from High Bridge to Morris Heights into Soundview and Unionport and Parkchester, we are now seeing more east and west connections. So I want to thank our MTA President, Jan O'Lieber. I want to thank our New York City Transit President, Richard Davey, New York City DOT Commissioner, Idanis Rodriguez, our Bronx Commissioner for DOT, Keith Kalb. I want to recognize our newest MTA board member, the President of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, Lisa Sorin, all of our advocates from Tri-State Transportation Campaign, Riders Alliance, and I also want to recognize our great friend Lisa at the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee, and really all of the Bronx residents that stepped up in a major way. No matter where you lived, we traveled, we made sure that our voices were heard, and for that we are grateful. This new redesign plan is going to be a game changer for the Bronx. So we no longer have the distinction of having the slowest buses in the city of New York, but we are on the pathway to efficiency and greater bus service, and I can't wait until we open up more ADA elevators and escalators at our subway stations. The president knows I'm so excited about this. And I also want to thank our colleagues at the state level, in the State Assembly, Assemblymember Natalia Fernandez and Assemblymember Udelka Tapia, and all of our leaders. This is a great plan for this season, and we are a better borough because of it. So I look forward to the implementation. I look forward to the continued partnership. And once again, thank you, everyone, for joining us at this historic announcement.
Fantastic. Rich, you're up. I can't beat that.
No, exactly. I was saying. This is what happens when you're the new guy in New York. You always have to go after the best speaker, Madam President. Look, first, I just wanted to say a big thank you to a number of folks who are here and representing various departments, community members, and others at MTA and beyond. Our operations planning team, Department of Buses, of course, strategy and customer experience, our government and communications team, the Omni team, the MetroCard team, maybe the token team. I guess we don't have a token team anymore. Obviously Adonis has become a close and personal friend quickly in my 7 or now 8 weeks here in New York. I appreciate him and everything his team has done, both here and across the city, working with us. And obviously NYPD continues to be strong partners with us, and MTA Police, of course, as well. Couple things I just wanted to mention. Obviously, as said, so Madam President, I was actually in the Bronx over the weekend. My wife and I went to the zoo, had dinner up in the Little Italy part of Bronx. We took the BX-19. Given my experience, we needed a bus redesign, for sure. It was crowded, which was great, but it was slow. And so being able to deliver better quality transportation across the 5 boroughs, here in particular, is just good news. And so we're excited again to be, I guess, the second. There'll be others, but to improve ahead of Brooklyn, exactly, ahead of Queens. But they'll be coming soon, we hope. They deserve better bus service as well. But we're excited very much to be here, to be partnering with everyone. And lastly, I want to say this is an iterative process. So we think we have a good product, but we're going to listen and learn over the coming weeks. And if we need to make some tweaks and changes, we will do that. And so this is not set in stone. We want to make sure that we're getting our customers' feedback and seeing how we're doing. I am sure there will probably be additional improvements we can make. But with that said, really delighted to be here and excited to launch the redesign on the 26th.
Very good. Assembly member?
Good afternoon. I'm Assemblymember Natalia Fernandez, representing the Northeast Bronx, and I too am so excited about finally getting this redesign up and running. We were active making sure that the community had the input back in 2018 to 2019 before it got finalized, and I want to thank the community for coming and making your voices heard, making sure that this bus design worked for you. And unfortunately, the pandemic did put us back, but I want to thank this administration for making it a priority from when they started to make sure that we got this up and running, because the buses are important. The buses are vital to the Bronx. I always say we got to respect the bus lane, because for us, we're lucky driving, but for those in the bus lanes, this is your life service. This is your lifeline to make sure you can get to work. So speaking of working businesses, I got to say congratulations to Lisa for being on this board, because she understands what our businesses need, what our consumers need, and they need good transportation. So this is exciting. Let's make sure that our bus lanes stay clear, so drivers do not go in the bus lane. You will get fined, but that's okay. We need to respect the buses. Respeta la guagua, all right? Make sure we do that. But I'm excited to see the Bronx get up and moving again. Now that we have equity in transportation, we are going to come back stronger from this pandemic. We are going to be bigger and better than Brooklyn. But it's an exciting day. Look at the new routes that are out there. You may see some changes, but know that every change that happened is going to get you to your location faster. And that's what we need. No more traffic, streamlined bus services, and equity in transportation. Thank you so much, MTA, to our commissioner and all the partners involved. This is a huge win, and I'm excited to see it happen.
Thank you so much. And our most recent MTA board member, the president of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, Lisa Soren.
Thank you. How proud am I to be able to become a board member during such an amazing announcement and the changes to the redesign for our busing. Talk about connectivity, enhancement. As a chamber president, our concern and our priority has always been the success of our businesses and the ridership. So if you can get to the businesses, that means you stay here and you shop here. You get across the east-west quicker, faster, and giving us an opportunity to enjoy actual downtime instead of sitting on these long routes that are so difficult. But above everything else, New York is open for business. This is our priority. As a board member, I love the fact that I have an ear to your voices, that I have the opportunity to work with these amazing people behind me, and we're ready to get down to business. I'm excited, and I will be on those buses this coming weekend so I can talk from experience on how fabulous these new designs are. Thank you.
So we'll take some on-topic questions if anybody has, but I first want to emphasize in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot of MTA folks and DOT folks out here in the neighborhoods acting as ambassadors to explain to everybody and to help people as they show up. Maybe the route has changed slightly. Maybe the location of the bus stops changed slightly. We're going to have people out there helping make sure that folks really understand it and they get assistance as this transition is implemented. So that's a big thank you to the whole staff of MTA. Everybody at the MTA is being asked to volunteer to actually participate in this ambassador program. I know Rich is going to come out and take a shift. I'm going to come out and take a shift. Everybody is being asked to come out and support this because this is such a huge priority for the MTA, and I know for our partners at the City of New York. So with that, if there are any on-topic questions.
How much is this going to cost extra? What's the investment in this operationally per year? And also, given the staff shortages, I know bus operator positions are caught up, but do you have enough bus operators to staff?
Yeah, we're confident that the bus situation, Rich, step up here, that the bus operator hiring that we've been doing is paying off. And we think literally by the end of the summer, we're going to be in good shape. So we don't anticipate any difficulty staffing this. I can't recall off the top of my head the budget implications. Do you want to talk to that? Well, let us get back to you on that one, because I would say this: we elected not to look at the redesigns from a financial point of view. We specifically made this a principle as we came back from COVID, because before we were hearing from folks this idea that it had to be budget neutral was constraining the ability to correct some of the problems. So we said, let's not apply that principle.
2.7 million.
So the total cost, Rich reminds me, is under $3 million a year operationally. It's $2.7 million a year. But the main thing is, for all of the bus redesigns, we said we want the best bus system. We want buses that go faster and connect people better. We're not applying a financial constraint on that particular issue.
Hey guys, a quick question might be for Rich. Do you have an update on where things stand for the stroller policy and the backdoor boarding?
On topic, and then we'll go off. I don't want to make all of our friends stand here. Any other on-topic questions? Anybody?
People are worried about stops being cut. A lot of elderly people. How do you guys work that into the new redesign plan?
Well, you know that in New York we have like double we have much more closely spaced bus stops than any other places in the world, other major cities. And it's one of the reasons that our bus system moves slowly, because every stop adds like half a minute. So what we've done is we have reduced the number of stops, but slightly. We're not going a whole hog on this. We're just doing a slight adjustment. It's about a 20. We've increased the distance between stops by about 25%. So there are a few, some fewer bus stops, but that will more than be compensated for by the advantage to everybody in having much faster bus service. That's what people are telling us they want, is a really much faster system. So we're not just cutting bus stops, we're straightening out routes and improving routes and building new connections. It's a whole strategy, as the borough president and the council and the assembly member mentioned. Okay. You want to the issue about the frequency of bus stops? You were suggesting that News 12 might want it in Spanish.
Yeah, so como explica Llano, la MTA tiene los recursos necesarios para garantizar el que tanto los choferes que sean necesarios en el rediseño de los autobuses van a estar en disposición. Lo importante es, como él señala, de que el plan de rediseñar el programa de autobuses no está de un punto de vista financiero y no de un punto de vista de la necesidad que tienen los usuarios.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go off topic, and all of my friends don't have to stand here, but anyone's welcome to stay, and our friends from the press can go now. Go ahead.
All right. Thanks so much. So like I said, I think this might be for Richard Davey. I have a question for Adonis as well.
Adonis, you're being
just before he leaves.
Rich, Davey, come on up. This is the way it always works.
I'll try and keep it quick, so I won't keep you too long. Richard, could you give us an update on the stroller policy and the backdoor boarding? I know especially strollers, you had said you wanted to hear back from the committee within weeks. Where are we there?
Yeah, so the committee, I think, is close. They've been working very closely with MTA staff. I would expect to have an update again in the next few weeks, but they asked for a little more time, so we wanted to give them a little more time. But I understand the conversations have been very productive, and I think we'll get to a place where all stakeholders should be, should be satisfied. On the question of your other backdoor
boarding, yeah.
I mean, I think our policy hasn't changed. It's a place where we want to get to at some point, but only about 15% of our bus customers are currently, are currently using Omni. So 85% would still need to be using the front door. But it's a place we want to get to. But I think, if you really look at the data, speeding up buses is all about lane enforcement and double parking enforcement. Obviously, backdoor boarding will help, but I think that's the place where we want to be focused. But we will get there eventually. But at this point, we're not there.
Then I got one for Adonis as well. The plan released last week with Mayor Adams, the bus plan, it didn't have the Fifth Avenue bus lane in it in Midtown. Is that still happening this year, or is it off the table? And then second question, what are you going to do in response to the terrible crash that happened yesterday on Broadway? There was the quote-unquote protected bike lane only had paint and plastic. Are you revisiting those designs of that street in any way?
Well, traffic violence is unacceptable. You heard from Mayor Adams yesterday. He visited the scene of the crash at 5:30, 5:40 p.m. So we're working 24/7 with a great team that we have at DOT to continue redesigning, our street. And I feel that, the reality is that left turn is something that all drivers should be careful. There's less visibility when drivers make a left turn. So when it comes to the crashes, still the cause of the crashes is under investigation. We will continue working the NYPD. I was there at the location this morning, and we'll continue having conversation with the NYPD. Again, like this was a tragic that it unfortunately, it hurt so many New Yorkers, but we are addressing left turn. When it comes to the other part of the question, the Fifth Avenue, we're going to be looking at everything. Like, there have been different proposals from the Fifth Avenue bid, and also the initial ID plan that, we were discussing. The administration, the previous administration looked at it last year. So everything is on the table, but we will keep you posted them.
Yeah, real quick, I've got one for Adonis and one for Jano. But Adonis, I don't know if you answered the question about the Fifth Avenue bus lane.
You did.
You did? Okay, never mind. Okay, sorry. Adonis, just a quick follow-up there. I know it was a left turn problem, but he did lose control of the car. Nothing stopped him, and he ran into these two women, and one of them appeared to lose their leg. So I guess, what's your message to New Yorkers and tourists, of which some of these victims were? Should they fear that they're going to be eating a bagel and they're going to lose their leg to this kind of stuff? What's your message to these people?
Look, there is an epidemic on reckless drivers in the whole nation. Those numbers are moving up higher, especially after COVID. And I can say that someone that has been a commissioner for 5 months or almost 6 months, but someone that's, used to chair the committee of transportation when both the board president and we served together there. We are the safest city in the whole nation. And even as we are tackling, challenges that we have in intersections that you heard me back in January when I became the commissioner, my goal is to declare intersections as sacred places. But, there's a lot of more work that has to be done. We still need support from Albany for the city of New York to control the speed limit when a driver make a turn. That didn't make it to the finish line last year. All we got last year in this section was to expand, a speed camera 24/7 the whole year. But there's a lot of more work that we got to do, including also putting some tools in our buses so that we can also not only are able to expand automatic enforcement on those drivers that block a bus, but also for those devices to be on the buses, to be able at some point also to be used, to give tickets to those drivers that pass through the bus when they are speeding. So I'm happy with that, something that the city been fighting for years to expand our speed camera to 24 hours. The whole year was something that we accomplished, but there's other work that we have to do when it comes to enforcement. However, when it comes to redesigning our intersections, I'm happy with the work that we're doing. And, as you know, we got $905 additional million from this mayor. So we got 13% increase in this budget. We have all the resources that we need. We had a great team, urban planning in DOT in the city. So we will continue doing our work. But the message is, drivers, slow down when you drive, and especially when you make a left turn.
And then And then Jano, I wanted to ask you about the return of solo patrols in the Transit Police Bureau. What impact do you think that'll have on riders? Do you think that what change do you think they'll notice?
Well, look, I mean, we have been asking. The MTA was asking in the prior administration for that putting aside the question of how many cops are on the system, but we wanted to make sure the cops were deployed to where riders feel vulnerable, and that's on platforms and on the trains. And I give the mayor great credit because as an ex-transit cop, he gets it that seeing a uniformed officer, and we know this from our surveys, that seeing a uniformed officer on the train is really reassuring. It's the one thing that makes people feel really safe on the system. So I welcome the fact that the mayor and the city government in general and the NYPD have recommitted to maximizing the visibility and the presence of officers on the train so people can feel safe as they're making their journeys. About half of the bad stuff that happens in the subway system happens on the train. So credit to the mayor and the NYPD, my partner, Keechant Sewell, the police commissioner, for recognizing that we want to make sure that our officers are present, and spreading them out is one way to do that. Thank you. Yeah, picture.